stuff. Now, one thing I'll point out, and I actually had a guy do this in the shop, and these things, you don't know how long they sat since they had them at the factory and they already put oil in them, or hopefully they put oil in them. So when you do it, you're going to want to pull the oil tank cap off, start the bike up, and make sure the oil's returning to the tank. Now, what happened in this case, this was on a Buell, and for whatever reason, mechanic didn't check it. He just assumed that it was in there. And, bike will fire up, and it's got oil pressure. It had a little bit of oil pressure. It had oil pressure according to the light, but put gas in it. He's only starting up for a couple of minutes to check the charging system, and then sticks a dealer tag on the bike and takes off down the road and makes it about, I think he made it about 4 miles before it locked up, because it had, when we checked it, it had less than a quart of oil in the bike. So he brings it back, and he didn't bring it back. We had to go get it because it locked up tight. So I told him, put it up on the lift and start tearing it down. So it gets down, can't get the cylinders off because the pistons are seized. Finally get them off, had to beat them off of there. Yeah, had to beat them off. Had to get the cylinders off, but once they're off, the rods were super tight. And, look down in the engine there, and the big end of the rods are blue. That's bad. So at that point, we can't repair that bike and sell it, not as a new bike. So what ended up happening was it was on Buell M2, M2, yeah, whichever one that is. So in this case, the guy ended up buying the bike at a discount. I don't know what kind of deal that had worked out with him, but he ended up getting the bike, and had a used set of rods in the back that were straight and honed straight, and fit a new crank pin and fit new rods and new rod bearings to this thing, and ended up putting high compression pistons in there and a couple other things. But that's what happens when you don't check. You assume that the oil's good, so you're always going to want to check that. Now, what happens is you go through all these setup procedures, and it takes, you can do a PDI in under an hour. It's really pretty quick.